Focusing on everything but the game. But, again, what else is new?
Magnus Carlsen strikes again. He's the world's #1 chess player and so goated that he can casually destroy the entire field, winning 11 out of 11 in Title Tuesday on 11/11, and all while eating a bowl of noodles. It's truly mind-blowing stuff. We're going to take a look here at him taking down a 3k rated opponent, a guy from Iran by the name of Mahdi Orimi, following in the footsteps of Ali Reza and Parham, some incredible players from Iran. He kicks off with pawn d4, and Magnus does something that has his second Peter Heine Nielsen purring away, and it's get that king to safety on move 4. Now white with the white pieces, great sentence, doesn't play the most ambitious way. Plays pawn to g3, tucks the bishop in, h3, e3. This whole setup isn't the most testing way that you can take the fight to black, and as such, Magnus gets a perfectly fine position now. It's so fine that he can even put his knight all the way on the back row there. Almost looks like he's setting up for the next game, but fear not. He's going to re-enter. We first see a camel toe pawn formation erected in the centre of the board. Pawn a5 secures the outpost for the knight. We get this one developing into the game, maybe hinting at f4, so the knight didn't come to f3. We get knight a6 from Magnus. Normally they're very stinky on the edge, but it's going to hit the promised land. Here it goes. Do you want to give up your bishop? Double my pawns? Not ideal. This is a wonderful piece. So queen c2 instead. Standard stuff, and Magnus gets his bits out. Always do it in a game of chess. It's great etiquette. It's how you win games. We now see pawn to b3. And it's looking for queenside expansion. Why not start with a3? Go for b4 directly. Well, then you run into a4 from black. Big clamp, and you can't take the pawn, of course. Nicely defended. So, this the way. We see this coming soon, or do we? Magnus goes knight h5, and his own counterplay is coming very quickly, meaning that there's only one move here for white to keep it roughly level, according to Eval Barovic. It's bishop f3. Very weird looking move, doesn't come naturally, but it really discourages f5, as we can see. Different game ensues if black were to go f5 or play something different like b6, even a slow f6. Not played though, not found. We saw the incredibly stinky pawn g4. I mean, who plays that when you're nearly 3000 rated? Ugh, avert your eyes if you're easily defended, or glue your eyes if you love a King's Indian style attack, because a pawn given up, but what King's Indian player worth his salt isn't happy about that bishop? I'm reminded of the incredible games by the late Daniel Naroditsky. He loved playing with this piece. What a monster he was in the King's Indian defence. Magnus now playing in a similar style by thrusting in the centre here. And after pawn captures, pretty much forced, say you try and castle, well, black starts munching here, winning the pawn back, and it's a huge attack. So this was played, and now you could immediately recapture, but then there's pawn g5. And now your queen doesn't find a home on f6. Still you can check, black remains better. But this is even stronger. Immediately entering the game. Immediately threatening to win a piece. So rook c1 covers. And now the best move is not the most natural move. Best takes here. Not the check that Magnus played. It's some kind of subtle stuff. But basically, this is a better version of the game. And you get some weird things like this. Alright, different game, black much better. This was played, check, so natural. King f1, who's not going for this? Pawn g5, very similar line. But the difference here from the last line, not that it's that easy to keep up with, is white's got queen d2 now. Black's still better with knight d3, an octopus. But now when you go bishop e3, If you try some quirky sacrifices, then they're not quite working the same, right? Queen h4, best move right now, sacking the knight, but then you can play this. I mean, the lines get absolutely bonkers. Let me just show you a couple more moves. This is the best move. I mean, what is going on? This is the sample line that the engine shows me. Wow, okay, absolute madness. Let's run back. As ever, these positions are exciting when black plays the King's Indian defense, but this was played. No Queen d2. Can you find the absolute killer blow that Magnus found in seconds? Of course, he picked up his massive utensil and stir-fried that wok. Just eliminated the limp noodle, trying to hold everything together. A beautiful brilliancy, played in about 4 seconds flat. Pawn takes, queen takes, so you've already got 4 points of material. But look at the king, it's woefully cut off from its army. Rooks aren't connected, knights hopping, bishops coming, pawns pushing. It's a gargantuan attack. Knight d1 was tried, best defensive move. Magnus checks, I dare you to block with the queen. Tactical issue. Bye bye rookie. So of course knight f2 was played. I mean, king g1 playable, but then bishop d4 check. So this was selected. Now we see the knight hop in. Again, Magnus does it in like a second. Many players would have burnt about 20 seconds there, but he instantly sees you can't go opening the f-file. This is suicidal. Many problems, especially pawn e3. Rook's hanging, so the queen can't really join the defense properly. Whoops, bad arrow. You get the idea. Now we come back here. Rook d1 was played to step off the queen's x-ray, but now we get knight g3 check. Going to Forktown, population Arimi. Of course you could take, but again, Magnus just blitzes out. Rook e8, and there's a massive threat. You know, let's do a random move. Rook e2, and you now hit the queen as well as threaten to take here. Check, and mate to follow. So you'd have to give up the queen. So that's why queen d2 fights against the rook e2 invasion. Check therefore played. King f1, and Magnus now uses a little bit of time. He can feel it. There's a kill somewhere. There's a spectacular way to finish the game. He says it out loud, but he can't quite find it. What's the best move? The far from obvious rook e3, if I could say the word properly. He disconnects this connection between queen and queen, and therefore threatens more pieces to join the attack while maintaining the status quo. Something like this. Let's say black plays a nothing move, then you can check and the bishop marches in. Try and save it. We'll now check again. Something like this. You can repeat, you can play rook e2, and we're running into the similar themes. So rook e3 was a real beautiful killer. Missed. Knight g3 check, and Magnus instead goes for what he does best, an endgame. Takes this one off the board here in the corner. Finally, so material is almost level. Black's what, maybe a pawn ahead? No, I think it's actually level, but you've got the full pressure here. Bishop f4, and now you are about to win material. So rook c2 was played. Not the best, but this is how things proceeded. Arimi's time is ticking. He goes for counterplay here. Magnus should go bishop b5, but he takes like this. He's letting Arimi just ever so slightly back into the game. Rook c1 on the board. You could take a pawn here, but then black activates in different ways. King coming up the board. This pawn could be pushing. In some lines, the bishop sort of joins the attack in various ways. If the knight ever moves, this bishop's pinned in the corner. So okay, this is far from winning or bringing white back into the game. Magnus remains better, but the rooks were now swapped off the board. This is how things proceeded. This bishop dropping back to cover the pawn, but now knight e6. Hits bishop, hits pawn. You can't defend it in any good way, or you lose a bishop. So this one had to give itself up. We're in an endgame with opposite coloured bishops, but look at Magnus's understanding. It's deep. He'd be making Dr. Carsten Muller proud right now. the guy with truly the greatest comb over in all of chess, because Magnus is seeing that this is not a drawn opposite colour bishop's endgame. Bishop goes here to create this barrier, maintain it. Now bishop f3. This one comes into the game. Bishop e2, Franken bishop, desperately trying to come back to life. Still need to watch that film on Netflix. Heard it's pretty good. Now we see this pawn pushing. h5 on the board, king e5 here, bishop b1, and what Magnus has seen is, although it's opposite colour bishops, he's got 2 extra pawns, and before you can say, let's have a big game of chess ninja, bit like chess boxing, but you do ninja between the games of chess, Magnus gains space there and stops this pawn from pushing. He's got his eyes on the prize. Here comes the king. You could carry on the march, but Magnus gets a bit funky. Pushes here, takes. Does he take back? No siree. Bounces the bishop round to blockade the pawn from marching on without being taken. Bishop d5. This pawn marches. Where's the win here? Pawn b3. Takes. And amazingly, Magnus has reached a position where there's only one winning move. Can you find what it is? Well done if you saw that the pawn should glide on past like a ship in the night. If you take like this, no good, because you push with check and things start getting weird. Once you actually capture, wait, whose move is it? Let's say pawn c6. You have to bring the bishop round, then this pawn drops, and you know you can take here, and the king's marching. It's a draw. So don't take like this. Pawn takes, more problems like this, similar themes. That one's blocked, king's coming round. So in the game, this was played. Winning move, there it goes. Here we see the resigns, because this one's in the delivery suite. Baby girl on the way, and that's going to be all she wrote. Game over, of course. Beautiful by Magnus, chowing down on his noodles. Hope you enjoyed this one, and have a look at the video on screen in case you missed another incredible game that he played in this historic run. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you soon. Cheers.